And this change in the different black markets, in the different dark web forums, is what we created, kind of the dynamics that cloud and identity is the new perimeter, because the old perimeter of the office or the network or the firewalls, it's not really relevant anymore because everyone is working from home and everyone is using a Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace as their cloud directory. And therefore, the old perimeter is dead. Now, the bad guys change their old dynamics and starting to offer attack as a service tools like account compromise, like token stolen, like other things that related all to the identity. And that's what shift the market, from the endpoint or the firewall or the network into the identity threats detection and response. And that's how, the market should evolve in order to protect what's going out there in the different black markets.
Welcome to another MSPZone podcast. My guest today is Mr. Dor Eisner, who is the CEO and co-founder of Guardz, a cybersecurity platform built to protect small and mid-sized businesses. And Mr. Eisner is here to discuss with me a variety of topics related to identity access management. Identity is becoming, if it's not already, the new attack vector for many cyber bad actors. And it's an area of new focus for not only small and medium-sized businesses, but also MSPs who protect them. So Dor Eisner, welcome to the MSPZone. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Charles. Happy to be here and thank you for inviting me.
So Dor, I want to have a quick discussion about what you do at Guardz, just so people can understand. But you built a cybersecurity platform, but you have a lot of MSPs using it, not just end users. Is that correct?
Yes, we have hundreds of MSPs using the Alpha.
Perfect. And maybe just a good way to jump right in is identity, user access. It seems like this is not a new concept for MSPs to manage users. They've been doing it since the days of Active Directory, which is decades. But it seems to have taken on a new urgency for MSPs and end users to identify users and protect them, because that's the new area of bad actors trying to get into the network. What is your general view on user identity access?
Yeah, I think that we should, talk about, what happened in the past, and then it will give us, more understanding of, what's the future holds for, for cyber criminals. So just a quick background for the audience. I'm doing cybersecurity for more than 20 years. And I saw this evolution of, the categories being built as cybersecurity. 20 years ago, it was just, the firewalls. And then, the market evolved as the bad guys are evolving every day. And in the last 5 years or so, we saw a change, a big change in the black markets, in the cybercrime forums, in the dark web, let's call it like that. That bad guys are moving from, from targeting businesses to selling attack as a service tools. And this change in the different black markets, in the different dark web forums, is what we created, kind of the dynamics that cloud and identity is the new perimeter, because the old perimeter of the office or the network or the firewalls, it's not really relevant anymore because everyone is working from home and everyone is using a Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace as their cloud directory. And therefore, the old perimeter is dead. Now, the bad guys change their old dynamics and starting to offer attack as a service tools like account compromise, like token stolen, like other things that related all to the identity. And that's what shift the market, from the endpoint or the firewall or the network into the identity threats detection and response. And that's how, the market should evolve in order to protect what's going out there in the different black markets.
When you say the cloud is the new perimeter, I think that's a very accurate statement, but it's also a scary concept because the cloud is so much bigger than the old traditional network. I suppose that's why what you said is true is that the user, the identity tied to the user is now even more important and even now more of a target for bad actors. Let me ask you, Dor, if the cloud is the new perimeter, then we can assume, or should we assume that firewalls and traditional antivirus technologies are less effective or dead or not needed anymore? What is your general opinion on that?
They are less effective for sure. They are less effective for sure. And more than that, if you don't have the context of the endpoint network or other stuff that is correlated to the identity, if you don't have this correlation in place, you are lost in the wild because most of the threats are starting from variety of different attack vectors, but they all come into the identity because the identity control the data, the capital of the business, and and all things related to the business in general. So you need to have this context. And by the way, that's what we are doing at Guards. That's the vision of Guards. From day one, it's we've built this security platform that is actually taking identity first approach and connecting the dots across the emails, the devices, the data, the awareness, and few other components into identity detection and response. We are able to correlate all signals from all different attack vectors into the identity and say, hey, this Mr. User is at high risk because we detected all the different signals, and also to take action once there is a detection and response kind of a security incident.
As I'm listening to you describe that, I see that as a very relevant technology for all end user organizations, regardless of size, enterprise down to the small business. I also see it as extraordinarily relevant for the managed service provider themselves. This is not just a end user technology by itself. It is very relevant for the many benefits that it provides to an MSP to use that technology internally. Your thoughts?
Absolutely, absolutely. The enterprise market is trying to solve this challenge with adding more tools, adding more automation, adding more, SIEM, so our data lakes, adding more engineering. But I think that the biggest challenge is to the backbone of the economy, to the small businesses, where the challenge is how you create an efficient security operation in a cost-efficient method, and how you streamline your security operations into a business that all it cares is about the budget, that all they care is about, they can run the business and thrive, and they don't care about the next breach. So this is the shift of what MSPs should look like. And this is also the biggest opportunity for MSPs, to kind of, navigate their business in the right direction where it should be.
That's an interesting comment you just made. The business model, the economic business model of the bad actors and the good actors, namely the MSPs, are not aligned in all ways. I think that there are many examples. I think you mentioned it very early on in your remarks about the scalability of the bad actors in developing and disseminating these technologies to infiltrate networks that they want to target, or just any network that is available and open to be breached. I wouldn't say that, especially the more reactive side of the MSP market, if you want to call it that, truly have matched up in their own scalability and automation and efficiency the same way that the bad actors do. I was just curious about your thoughts on that equation.
For 100% that the bad guys are moving in the speed of light, and the MSP market is moving much much slower than the bad guys. And in order to match this equation, you need to have different tool set or different approach to cybersecurity in order to fight the threats of today and the threats of tomorrow. Like the highly fragmented point solutions that the cybersecurity industry, that the defenders industry created in the last decade, is not really the right thing in order to protect the threats of today and the threats of tomorrow. We need to change our mindset. We need to change the way that we think about cybersecurity or cyber protection. Because if you have a bunch of point solutions that they are silo detections, you are losing the context, and the context is the most important thing in protecting those threats. Because I can give you a quick example, like a phishing email that is coming to the organization. Maybe the email gateway will mark it, maybe not. But this phishing email is not exactly the threat. The threat is going to other areas of the organization. The threat is going to the identity, and then to the SharePoint, and then to the endpoint, and then to other users, and it's spreading around the organization. So if you have the best email security platform, and you don't have the connecting the dots within all the other vectors that you have in the organization, it's not really relevant anymore.
I agree with you 100%. I would like to shift to a topic that I'm hearing a lot more about these days: zero trust architecture, zero day threats. Many governments around the world are starting to really seriously adopt or consider adopting zero day threats and zero day patching and those types of postures to prevent very bad things from happening. While I understand, I think most people would understand the benefit of that, there are also an opposing side of view, which is those may be good, but you also have to measure the impact on, let's say, availability or functionality of a system that got patched by a zero-day patch, but it breaks a system, maybe more legacy systems that MSPs are noteworthy for having to manage. What are your thoughts about zero-day attacks and zero-day defensive technologies and models today, specifically towards MSPs?
First of all, it's a never-ending story. Like there is no one solution that will fit, like a zero-day exploits and zero-day attacks. Because, by the way, the majority of the threats targeting small businesses are not predominantly 0 days. If I'm a cyber criminal, let's say, and I have a zero-day exploit, I will go after the big enterprises. I won't go after moms and pops, a legal shop, in nowhere. So let's put it like that. And then it's more about, like understanding, your cybersecurity posture all around and connecting it with a robust detection and response mechanism. That's what I call the zero-day, foundation for the business. Like if you are an MSP and you think about zero-day, you need to think about what is the cybersecurity posture, what is my detection and response processes and tools all together, and how they are talking with each other. Because if the detection and response is detecting something and responding to something, then it automatically should go into the posture and patch this vulnerability or block this email address from allow list or do some actions in my environment. And it should be correlated altogether.
I remember distinctly 20, 30 years ago, MSPs were focused on security with everything they did. I mean, when Small Business Exchange Server was around, there wasn't an MSP that didn't also have a very good relationship with a firewall vendor, because a firewall would associate itself with that Exchange server. So my point is that MSPs are not unfamiliar with security, but today there seems to be a little bit of, certainly in the last 5 years, a bit of a reluctance on some MSPs to fully embrace managed security. I'd like your opinion on that. Do you think that that's true? And if it is true, what should be done about it?
Yeah, first of all, it's true. I agree with you. There is some, challenges in this industry of adapting or embracing, security operations. And I think the biggest challenge is a shortage in talent. The economy is all about, the cybersecurity economy is all about the talent and the quality of the talent. And the best cybersecurity talent prefer to work for the Palo Altos of the world and not for the local MSP. And this gap of shortage is creating this challenge of how I'm going to operationalize security for my clients. That's the foundation, by the way, of why we decided to start Guardz, because we saw this opportunity that we have the knowledge, we have the expertise, we know how to do it. We just need to build the product that can actually automate the whole thing in order to help MSPs streamline and operationalize security for their clients in a new way, in a different approach. And I agree the challenge is there, and it's just going to be worse. That's the news, like it's just going to be worse because the economy is not generating enough talent in cybersecurity to go with with the number of bad guys. And AI, by the way, if you talk about AI is just going to fuel the bad guys' innovation because it's just so easy to create a cyber, like a fraud tool as a service or a phishing tool as a service with with vibe coding and like all the tools that are out there. So it's just going to be worse. And MSPs that think about the future of cybersecurity should think about how they can get the right solution to help them operationalize security in high efficiency and high operational cost. Because getting the talent and start to build it yourself won't take you anywhere. That's my opinion.
Hold your thought on artificial intelligence because that's my next question. But before we get there, I do want to talk about the tools. So you brought up tools like Guardz that are helping MSPs do things that they, let's say, wouldn't be otherwise able to do, like creating a security operations center, having a SIM, and all the tools that go along with that. Do you believe that using tools like Guardz, but other tools as well, but just using these types of tools from an MSP's vantage point will expose them to it will educate them in some way. They will start to actually see what the threats are looking like. They will start to see beyond what their own technical certification, experience, and limitations are, and begin to show them the world, the threats, how to protect against them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I think that, if you're using the right tool, first of all, you are doing the right thing for your clients, but you're also doing the right thing for your knowledge base and for your, technician training and, enablement and stuff like that. If you are not using the right tool, you are doing a bad job altogether because you are not protecting your clients and you're also not giving your employees the right infrastructure to learn and to improve and to make cybersecurity better. So absolutely agree. And it's also about educating, like we are on a mission, to empower MSPs with the right cybersecurity, detection response offering and stuff like that. But we are also on a mission to educate the market so for example, in our product, we've built something that called the Growth Hub, where we have like some kind of tools about, like how you can get better, marketing, better prospecting, better deployment, better understanding of the market. Now we are building this community of Guardz MSPs where we are doing like a monthly training on the latest, threats, on the latest innovations and stuff like that. So we are also about, training and educating the market. And I think that it's a very important piece.
Yeah. So I'm sensing there's no reason for any MSP who is reluctant, scared about entering managed security and offering this. There's really no reason for them not to do this. In fact, there's every reason for them to do this. And the more they use these tools, the better they will become.
Absolutely. And more than that, I can tell you that if you are an MSP and you are not doing cybersecurity today, you are in a trajectory to lose your business because someone else will come to your client and will say, I will do the IT and the security all together. And this is a better offering for the clients.
Yeah, I agree. Just before I would get any comments or hate mail from people, I know that there are very specialized MSPs who only do one certain thing and it may not be in security. So I think that there are exceptions to every rule, but I think for the general population, especially for the SMB, Dor, I think you're absolutely right on that. You brought up AI. Let's address that now. The MSPs we talk to are they get a lot of inbound inquiries about artificial intelligence from their customers. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about artificial intelligence, what it can do and what it can't do. And I think MSPs are having those conversations today. MSPs are reluctant maybe to expose AI to their customers in a front-forward facing user interface. But I think that it's undeniable that AI is infiltrating the tools that MSPs use. What is your thought about the role of AI for managed service providers today and in the near future?
It's a big question. I think, as AI is going to change everything that we are doing in life in the next 2 years, it's going to change how MSPs are going to deliver services to the clients, for sure. To be kind of the one that is saying, the market is going to collapse, no, but it's going to change dramatically, and it's going to be 10x better if you will embrace AI innovation today. Because if you will do it in a year or two, then probably you are going to be late to the game. I believe that AI is providing us such a massive opportunity to capitalize on all the things that we are doing semi-automated or fully manual today, and just taking those scenarios and bringing AI agents to do it for us. And I can give you an example of how we are doing AI today. So, we started with this vision of Guardz about 3 years ago, and AI was there, but it wasn't there like as it exists today. And the fact that we are able to connect the dots and to eliminate the tier one, tier two, tier three security analysts in order to triage, in order to understanding context, and in order to take remediation plan. We are just eliminating this whole pillar of the security analyst and putting AI to work in a fully automated fashion. The benefit, much faster, it's much more accurate, and the mean time to detect, mean time to response is much better. And obviously the cost of operation is going down, so we can deliver to MSPs a unified security with automated detection response in a much better cost. So that's kind of how we do it. But I recommend, and I encourage the MSP that are listening to this episode, go and think about all the things that you are doing semi-automated or fully manual, and how you can put AI agents to work for you, because it's working. Like it's not stuff. It's like the real thing happening today with the foundational LLMs, and the application that built on top of the foundational LLMs can do a lot more than we are doing today.
Yeah, I think that that's a great outlook. And I think that if MSPs are not sure about where to turn or how to proceed with AI, the very first thing I think would be to have vendor partners that they work with who are using it, because that's one of the easiest ways that they can begin to use the benefits of artificial intelligence safely, right? Because there's a risk transfer where, if Guardz is using AI, then the MSP doesn't have to worry about it as much, as long as they know that you and your team are worrying about it. So yeah, I would agree with that. There's also a scalability. I think there's back to your earlier comment about the economic challenge of hiring at the SMB MSP level compared to at the enterprise, who are paying more and picking that talent off. That AI through the vendor community is actually helping the MSPs scale in ways that they would never be able to by just adding more headcount. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about scale without the human resources, that you need to scale. It's all about, I call it operational efficiency. It's the bottom line, because if you want to scale and you want to hire less people, that's about operational efficiency, and that's about improving your gross margin and your net. We all want to be successful, and I think that there is an opportunity here, first of all, to ask from our team, to learn about AI, to embrace AI, and then not to be afraid of this innovation, because some techs will say, okay, this GPT will replace me in a year, and no, this LLM will make me 10x better, so I can do other things that are more strategic, that are more innovative, and all the reset password of phishing triage, or analyzing the inbox, and sending some reports. This is the end of this tasks, like small tasks that are filling our day. And I believe that the AI will take the MSP delivery into a better world all around.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I'd like to talk about being desensitized to cybersecurity threats. And, it seems like since just before the pandemic hit, there was we were looking at a very sharp increase in cyber attacks, and it hasn't really stopped. how do MSPs and how do MSPs talking to their customers not get fatigue to the point of I can only talk about this so much before people start to, shut down and say, okay, that's, I've heard this before. And I sense that there's a real risk to that happening. Curious your thoughts about that happening.
Yeah, about the future of cyber crime around small businesses.
Yeah, just being so many different sources, news sources, always talking about the cyber threats to the point where maybe we think it's never going to happen to me, or I can't do anything about it. It's like, you um, it has a desensitizing impact, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. The problem that most small businesses will never talk about their cyber, incidents, and it's not going to the news. And the fact that the data shows us that about 50% and more of the cyber attacks in the world is going towards small businesses. So there is kind of a dissonance between, what's happening in the field and what the data is showing. I can tell you that the cyber crime is just going to accelerate because it's so easy to get, the capital from the business with a wire fraud, with the spam, with the phishing, with you name it. And I think that, like it's kind of a thesis that we need to think about, how cyber criminals wants to get to our clients, and just make sure that we have all the right posture management, all the right tools in place in order to protect our business and to protect our economy. That's the mindset. It's happening anyway. It can be to your clients, it can be to other clients. But if you want to prepare your clients to be in a good shape, you are just putting your business at risk. If you want to put your business at risk, this is your decision. But this is not
Yeah,
some. Yeah,
I think you're right, and I think maybe the answer is change. Don't just talk about it. Just MSPs need to start implementing change, maybe by taking technologies such as yours and just saying you don't have an option to remove it. It's now
exactly.
part of our core solution.
Exactly, Charles. What we are saying in our MSP community, that this is becoming the market standard. It's part of the service offering. If you don't want to pay for it, I will not accept you as a client. That should be the mindset, like we are an MSP that is providing best of class IT, best of class security. If you don't want to take our package, it's part of the service offering. If you don't want to take our package, we just don't want to accept you as a client. And that should be the mindset. And I think that's how we are going to improve our economy in general.
I couldn't have said it better. We're out of time, unfortunately, because I have a lot of other questions. Maybe you would be open to coming back onto the program and we could have a broader discussion on some of the topics that we didn't get to. But Dor Eisner, CEO and co-founder of Guardz, thank you very much for coming onto the MSPZone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you very much for the time.